What's going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of CryptoZombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great day today. Now, today is the big day. It's the day that everyone has been waiting for. If you don't know why, well, I'm about to tell you in just a minute. However, let's have a super quick look at what has happened. So there has been a lot of market sell-offs in both traditional stocks as well as crypto. And the reason for this is because many are anticipating the outcome of the FOMC meeting today at 2 p.m. Interestingly enough, you can see that although the S&P has, had a nice 4% bounce back, we've actually had almost a 17% bounce back from the bottom right here to the top for Bitcoin. Not only mentioning that if we have a look at the CME futures right here, we did in fact close the gap and we are above both of these supports right here. So whether you take it from the bottom of the wick all the way down to these lower levels where we had the bounce, or you take it to where Bitcoin put in a lot more structure right here. Regardless, you can see that in both scenarios, Bitcoin has bounced above both of these supports. So we need to talk about what could be expected today in the markets. Lots of eyes on what happens today. Maybe by the time you're watching this video, it's already happened. But I also want to talk about something regardless. If you are watching this video after 2 p.m., okay, and the announcement came out and there is a big effect on the markets, I want you to stick around to the end of this video because there's really something incredibly important to pay attention to, especially if you're invested in Bitcoin specifically. So with that being said, thank you so much for coming back to the channel. Today's video is going to be a little bit shorter than usual. YouTube does not like short videos. So obviously, if you guys appreciate this content, slap a like, drop a comment. Let me know actually what you think may be the outcome of today. Do you think that the Fed is just going to, kind of just push it off until March and say we're just going to stand back and not do anything? Or do you think they're actually going to finally take some stance today? Let me know in the comments below. We'll have some fun, come back and look at it and see what actually happened. But you can see right here that they are going to essentially discuss how and when to shrink their balance sheet. Now, we're going to get to the charts in just a second, but since this is such big news, we do have the committee that is saying they are going to release their statement at 2 p.m. Eastern time. And they are then going to hold a press conference with Jerome Powell 30 minutes after that. Now, interestingly enough, they say with the U.S. unemployment rate dropping below 4% last month, the FOMC is likely to say that the economy is at or near full employment, and it may be appropriate to take a first step towards higher interest rates. However, a lot of people are still anticipating that ads are going to be popping up. No, that they may not do this until March 15th to 16th. So with that being said, actually, Matthew Hyland pointed out all the past FOMC meetings in 2021. And although you can see that there really isn't a crazy sort of conclusion that we can draw from this, you can see that after every meeting, there is at least some kind of a response, right? So you could see back here, we went up, we went down, we went up. So there really is no clear direction of what could happen, but we do know that there is always a response. So we are going to see some kind of a move in response to this, whether it be to the upside or to the downside. It obviously depends on what they come out and say. If they're going to say they're going to raise rates, right, by some crazy amount, then you could see a drawdown in price. If they say, hey, we're going to hold off, we're going to come back in March and talk about it, you may see that rally, or at least that mild rally leading into the next meeting, right? So those are essentially the two conclusions that we can draw. But what we can see right now, just ignoring the news, ignoring everything that's happening, if we just look at the technicals of the chart, you can see that Bitcoin is in fact back inside of this falling wedge. We had a little bit of a fake out down here where Bitcoin touched that $33,000 level, very critical level for Bitcoin, lots of accumulation at that level. And if we do get some positive news, meaning that, they're not going to raise rates and they're going to push it off for another couple of months or so, then you could potentially see Bitcoin come up to that $40,000 level. And if we do continue to push to the upside, we are probably going to see a breakout like we did from these previous falling wedges. It is very, very possible that Bitcoin could actually even get back up to around $51,000, $52,000 very quickly. Okay, now on the flip side, if the bad news comes out, then most likely Bitcoin is going to push down toward the $30,000 level. Now you might be saying, well, so you're saying it could go up or you're saying it can go down. Yes, guys, in today's video, that is what I'm saying because we are waiting to see what happens today at 2 p.m. And I do think that that will affect the price short term, but like I said, sticking to just the technicals, Bitcoin is actually still in the falling wedge pattern, and Bitcoin was supported by the 100 weekly moving average. In fact, we didn't actually even touch it. We came just well, right now it's sitting at around 31,600. So yeah, we came, within about, roughly $200. So we were pretty close. We were pretty close, or excuse me, $2,000. Sorry guys, $2,000. So we didn't actually touch it. So the fact that we are seeing that support there is pretty interesting. Now, we talked about the worst bearish case scenario excluding, okay, what could be said from the Fed? And you could see, like Damien pointed out, Bitcoin could be forming a flat correction before making a continuation push to the cycle top. Strong confluence with Elliott wave theory and Wyckoff theory. And this is basically essentially what we've been saying for quite some time on this channel, which is basically that, we could put this giant M-shaped pattern. We've basically already put it in. If you wanted to complete it, it would technically have to come back down here to the very low 30,000s or the high 29,000s. And then we would continue, to the upside. We would put in that giant double bottom. And this is exactly what we saw back in the NASDAQ and the Dow, the S&P. I showed you guys this. And yeah, we've been talking about that on the channel for a while. There's nothing really too surprising about that. But what is pretty cool is that we have actually continued to put in higher highs. You can see this high right here was 64,700. This high right here was 69,171. And we've also continued to put in higher lows, right? So we had this structure built right here, which I must add, we are holding beautifully. You can actually see, look at this, perfect bounce, perfect bounce, perfect bounce, right? Right around this support. Then we got up here, and we've also had another perfect bounce at that level again. So it could be possible, the RSI is very oversold. We are anticipating a bounce. Could this be the bottom? Could this actually be it for the Bitcoin price move? Well, like Plan C pointed out, the floor price band for Bitcoin is between 29,985 and 32,689. We bounced within $319 of the upper band yesterday. The question is, will we see additional retests like we did back here? And this is essentially what I was saying. We did have multiple tests of this area. It wasn't just a V-shaped recovery. So, is that a possibility right here? Do we come down and test this a few more times? As I said, like we did back here, we were building that structure. It wouldn't be impossible to sort of see us bounce around between that area, a little bit more before breaking out to the upside, right? So that's essentially what we're looking at on the charts. And, there are some people saying, for example, if you do look at the 4-year cycle, which we do agree that we're definitely probably most likely in lengthening cycles. I think that's kind of where the majority is heading right now. But if you are looking at these typical 4-year cycles, then it would essentially put us in the early stages of a bear market. Well, actually, yeah, the early stages, right around here at the 32.5% unrealized profit loss. And yeah, essentially that would be putting us into an early bear market. I am curious, what do you guys think? Do you think we are going into a lengthy bear market that could last, a year or a year and a half like these previous ones? Or do you think that it's not actually the anxiety stage that we're seeing? It's actually the optimism stage, and we are looking for a bounce. I would say that unless there is an insane black swan event, keep in mind we are anticipating them to raise rates. How high will they go? They're most likely not going to go higher than 1%. If they go any higher than that, they're probably going to end up hurting themselves more than us. Not to mention the fact that the Fed themselves is also invested in things as well. They don't want to see the stocks fall, right? That's not really good for USA's ego. Although Jerome Powell, I'm sure, doesn't want to go down in history as the guy that couldn't save it, right? So lots of stress today. Can't stress that enough. We will see what happens. But I do want to talk about one very interesting point that ARK Invest made about Bitcoin reaching $1 million by 2030. Now, I know that sounds crazy. I know that sounds insane when you think about it. But you can see that although Bitcoin has had all this different FUD, China has had their crackdown, you had Tesla selling, all this FUD, and nevertheless, Bitcoin was still able to maintain within its channel, fighting off all the FUD. In fact, today, we have the highest hash rate ever, which shows that the miners are not particularly capitulating right now. They're turning on their machines. This is the strongest the network has ever been, literally, in Bitcoin's existence. And just having a look alone, you could see that gold is sitting at around, and by the way, this whole gold is performing well thing, I mean, gold really hasn't moved. It's up, it was up 0.31% in 7 days, down 0.37% in the last 24 hours. So Not really sure why everyone's getting so excited over gold, although I do understand it is still a hedge against inflation. But having a look right here, gold sitting at a $11.7 trillion market cap, Bitcoin number 10 on, essentially all of the market caps of everything right now. So Bitcoin is still at number 10 spot, sitting at $719 billion. Now, interestingly enough, if you have a look at where Bitcoin sits right now, and let me actually get away from this so you guys can see this behind me right now. You can actually see that right down here, Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is sitting even lower than 1.1 right here. They're calling for a possible 26x to a $28.5 trillion market cap for Bitcoin. And if you just have a look at this alone, you have global real estate, 220, and this is trillions, by the way, 124 global bonds, 123 global M2 money, 106 for global equities, and gold is actually a little higher than 10 when they made this. But you can actually see right here that if we just simply look at how Bitcoin could get value per coin, and this is what you could see simply by just having this happen. For example, if we had simply 2.55% of institutional investment, you're looking at $196,000 per Bitcoin on top of the price today. If you look at 5% of treasury bonds, you're looking at another $200,000 per Bitcoin. So that is $396,000, almost $400,000 just in Bitcoin alone. And if you look at the growth potential for 2030, with 50% of global remittance, 10% of money to 25% of US bank settlement volumes, and if Bitcoin was to ever reach even just half of the market cap of gold, you're actually looking at a $1.36 million Bitcoin, and actually higher than that based on today's prices. So you can obviously see that Bitcoin is still very early. It's being treated as a potential risk-off asset. A risk-on asset. It is slowly moving into the risk-off area, but we're not quite there yet. And I do want to just talk about this sort of negative article that came out. Reason I'm bringing this up is because I think there is a good point to be found within the text. So DApp data platform DappRadar said that 80% of dApps in the DeFi space could disappear if the bear market continues for an extended period of time, putting that time frame at 1 year. An executive at the platform said the bear market has been particularly impactful on the DeFi space. DeFi apps like Aave and MakerDAO have been experiencing particularly difficult times lately, with both assets heavy drops in their total value locked as well. And they say as far as crypto winter, DeFi dApps have never gone through it. They have experienced crashes, but this feels like a prolonged one. Probably 20% of the apps that held 80% of the industry value will survive, and we could see protocols that are not widely used fade away. So what can you essentially take away from this? That everything's going to crash and it's all going to go to zero? No, but a lot of it will, guys. And that's the point that I try to make. It is fun to speculate on these altcoins. They're not all going to change the world. They're not all going to be adopted. Let's be honest. Anyone can raise funds. Anyone can print a token, right? There will be some that survive. There will be the phoenix from the flames that rises, but most of these will not go anywhere. And, when I start seeing these people, talking about these meme coins, when we had the meme coin explosion, that just shows you the silliness, the ridiculousness in the space. And it does tell us that we do need some form of a hard reset. Unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of people that bought into a lot of altcoins, and those altcoins are going to lose the majority of their value, never to come back again. And then those people either choose to walk away from crypto, or you realize that you should be investing in the blue chips like Bitcoin, Ethereum. We have some that have proven themselves, like Chainlink, for example, and a lot of other layer ones that are also proving themselves as well. But that being said, this is why I say, if you're in profit, you need to take some profit, especially if you're up double. If you're up double, you need to take half back. You need to at least secure your initial capital, whether that be putting it back into US dollars or putting it into something like Bitcoin. I put my profits into Bitcoin, right? But ultimately, this is what ends up happening, which is why I never suggest, well, first of all, I can't give financial advice on my channel anyway, but never invest more than a fraction into these. These are speculations. These are highly volatile, and most of them will not survive, which is why there is a lot of opportunities in the altcoin space. But these people going in with 80%, 90%, 100% of their capital into, an altcoin that's on page 2, 3, 4, 5 of CoinGecko, CoinMarketCap, well, that is a very heavy risk, which is why I personally allocate a generous proportion of my portfolio to Bitcoin. In fact, by today's standards, because some of the altcoins have got hit, my Bitcoin portfolio, my portfolio now is over 80% in Bitcoin, right? Obviously in Ethereum as well, and then a very small percent into these other coins. But ultimately, the markets do need a flush out. Same way leverage needed a flush out. You know, the markets need a flush out. But ultimately, guys, at the end of the day, I do believe that Bitcoin will come out on top. We will see $1 million Bitcoin in our lifetime, maybe by 2030. I don't know. Could be that soon. Could be a little bit later than that. But ultimately, guys, Bitcoin will survive. Bitcoin will prosper. And regardless of what the Fed does in their meeting today, and regardless of what Jerome Powell comes out and says, I personally believe that it will not be something that lasts. And even if they do become more hawkish, I personally believe it will be short term. And you know, by this time next year, I think things would be 100% completely turned around. We could see that $100,000 Bitcoin. And I think a lot of people would be very upset that they didn't buy in sooner. So that's it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for coming back to the channel. A little bit of a shorter video today. I know, still not a super short video, but most of my videos are over 20 minutes, so we will take it today. Thank you so much for coming back. Slap a like on the video if you like this content. Let me know what you think. Don't cheat. Don't cheat if it's 2 p.m. You already know the answer. What do you think is going to happen below? Let me know right now. Personally, what I think is going to happen is they're probably going to end up pushing it off until March, honestly. But that's just based on previous, you know, that's what they usually do. Are they going to do it this time? There's always a chance they don't. History proves that, you know, they usually don't have the spine to do it, but we will see, guys. History could be made today. You know, things could change. Maybe we're in for a hawkish season. We'll see. So thank you so much for coming back to the channel. My name's K-Dub. This is CryptoZombie. Until next time, stay crypto. And of course, peace out.